serve that client and make them feel important and valued so that they actually want to come back to see us again, right? It's like at the end game, that's really what we're really wanting. Welcome back, my friends, to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. So today, Drea is going to be joining us, and we are talking about 7 effective ways to build client relationships. And this is specifically behind the chair. How can we maximize the relationships that we are creating behind the chair so that it's less work and we get to focus on the things we love? So, Drea, hi, I've missed you. And I'm so glad to have you back on the podcast to talk about 7 effective ways to build our client relationships.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I have missed you too. I am so excited to be here. I feel like it has definitely been a minute. So I was excited to come on here and chat. And I love doing this because we're in the relationship industry. Like we really are. Like I think first and foremost, we have creativity, but that's like really paired with relationships. So I think this is a really, really great topic. And I think as we excel in this, we have clients, we have a fun time in the salon. I know some of my clients have become some of my best friends, and that's like a real thing. And I know people are like business separate, friendship separate, but I don't know how y'all do that. I'm one person, and I feel like that's like almost a bonus for being behind the chair. But I love being a part of the SSA community, and I love the conversations that we get to have and grow together. So thanks for having me in on this one.
Yes, of course. And actually, speaking of having these conversations, this is a formal invitation for you to join in the waitlist. We have our new membership that just launched. We've had a chance to really play around with just being here in a different way for our community. We're finding that with social media, we are getting distracted. There's too many options. We're not really quite fitting the needs. It's very one-sided conversation when it's social media, right? And so we wanted to figure out a way, how can we be here for our community where we have a more ongoing two-way communication? So in our membership, we're able to write out articles or upload videos that are personalized, and it's more specific to the 4 pillars of our business. And those 4 pillars are branding, marketing, communication, and finance. Those are the 4 things also where I think sometimes people like lose clarity on. In our industry, we focus so much on technique heavy stuff, which is fun for ourselves as the artist. And it's what gets us excited about doing hair. But it has very little to do with that high retention level success rate in our industry. And so we want to make sure that we're having those conversations and they're in more bite-sized pieces rather than it being like a big, heavy, full course. Because I know for me, and I feel like I can stay pretty dedicated to things. If I have downloaded courses and I don't get all the way to the very end of it, then I am more than willing to bet that most of you who are listening who have ever joined a course is in the same boat. And the reason why is because coursework is very heavy and inundated with information. It's very one-sided and it becomes kind of lackadaisical after a while. But there's also like the nuances of our own life that we just get. Our own lives are so busy anymore. Like even when you're not busy and you don't want to be busy, you can't help it. There are just too many different things coming at us from different directions that it's just becomes busy fast. And so I think even just having our login information and like how do we get to that thing again and where was that hosted and what's my email and password, and like if you can't figure out your password in the first 3 attempts, it's like screw it, never mind. I guess I didn't need to be in it anyway. And so that's what happens. So instead, we're having a low ticket wait list for our membership. This is something that we open up from time to time. And the reason why we don't keep it ongoing open is because we want to make sure that we are really focusing on the conversations we're having in there. We're giving ourselves time to build relationships with one another before we just like have it always having new people in and out. And we also just want to make sure that if we're going to spend our own precious time being there, that it's worthwhile for all of us. It's not just for people who are coming in, it's also for all the team members who are a part of it too. So that helps us preserve our energy. It helps us also be more intentional about the stuff we're putting in there. And it also feels better because at the end of the day, that's what we want ultimately. We want to feel better about the things we do. So I just went on a huge tangent, but please, if you are interested, join the wait list and then you'll get information about it once we reopen it and you'll hear more about it in the future. But let's go into our 7 most effective ways of building those client relationships. And I think the one thing that I have found really important is this is going to be my number one is personalizing follow-ups. So an example of this would be after a client's appointment, you would want to send or even automate a personalized text or email thanking them for their visit. If you're more of a tactile person, write out a personalized card and send it to them. And we've talked about that before. But if that takes too much energy, time, money, all those things, and you want something that's quick and easy to reach that client and have kind of that white glove service, it would be through a text or an email. And so you'd want to include a specific compliment or mention something personal that they shared or something that you talked about because you guys know I'm a stats person. I love stats. You just can't mess with stats. Studies have shown that addressing somebody by their name makes interactions up to 10 times more memorable. So if you want to make something more memorable, then just use that person's name. So I have an example for you. You could send something like this. Hi, Mackkenzie. It was great seeing you today. I hope you enjoyed your new haircut. Don't forget to use the serum we talked about for added shine. I'm looking forward to seeing you at your next visit. Something that simple and easy can really create a special bond with that person, especially if they're a brand new client to you. So that's my number one. Dre, I'm going to pass it over to you to hear what tip you have in store for us.
Yeah, I love it. My number one is going to be like a little umbrella of things, and then I'm going to get really practical with my next point. So, my number one is going to be clear and intentional communication, and I'm a communication girl. So, these are things that I think really set you apart. I believe that if you can dial in your communication in a really intentional way that makes sense for you and your client, and the exchange is there, then while you're working on your craft, like that's it. Like it's there. Like there's never going to be a miss after that. So understanding your client's needs, I think, is number one. Sometimes we are double booked and we get in a hurry as stylists, and we kind of have our rhythm that we create, for ourselves in the salon during our day. And understanding our client's needs means we have to stop. Like we have to pause like in that rhythm, and we have to allow our clients to like infiltrate that, and we have to practice active listening, because if we can't hear our client and then in turn make them feel seen and heard, then I really think like we have not laid that foundation in the correct way. We have not set ourselves up for success to build that client relationship. That's where the trust is really going to come in. So building trust with creating active listening, repeating things back to them, making sure that they feel seen and heard, and that you guys have decided on a plan of action that they feel really, really confident in. Even though we might feel confident in it, we want to make sure that they also feel confident in that. And that's going to help to build trust. Appreciating them is in this blanket, because also, if you're someone who's been doing hair for a while and you are a busy stylist, and you do have that confidence, sometimes I think it's easy to fall into like, well, I'm really busy and this client is like lucky that they got into me. And they totally are, you guys. But we want to make sure that we remember that we're in the service industry and we're here to make people not only look good, but we're here to make them feel good. The power that we have behind that chair is insane to transform people and to change their lives, by just listening, by being there for them, and really serving them as part of what will make you irreplaceable, which will build that client relationship as well. And with that, we're just continuing to work on our craft and our value in the services that we're given. And that in itself is an episode which we have. So scroll through them and find out, some more topics that you want to hear about, because I feel like we've covered a lot of them. But clear and intentional communication and just some practices to do that is my absolute number one.
Awesome. I think this kind of like segues right into the next thing because part of building up that relationship with somebody is not just in the craft of what you're doing behind the chair, but it's like ongoing mission, like getting that mission of your business aligned with the client's mission and their livelihood. Because if you can get those aligned together, then you're serving the person who is going to be the best fit for you. So I feel like having an exclusive client event is so valuable, but it also just feels like so rich in your own culture. And it's a really great way to bond with your team and with your clients alike and to be able to share like a cross promotional type thing. So, an example of this would be to host a VIP night or a small client appreciation event. Invite your top clients for an evening or a mini treatment or refreshments and have a sneak peek at new products, even or services. So, an example of this would be join us for a special client appreciation night on whatever date it may be. Enjoy complimentary drinks, refreshments, and enjoy complimentary treatments, refreshments, and an exclusive preview of our new fall hair care line. So it could be something that simple, and it doesn't have to be like you can have it be twice a year or something like that. And I think it's not just a way of grabbing the right audience for yourself, and this is an extension of your marketing, but it's a feel good thing. It's like it's something that you can't quantify, and it doesn't have to do specifically with how much money you're making or profit you're making, because I really truly believe in the profit of your emotion and the profit of your time being equal or greater than the profit of money. You can always monetize after you've done all the work. And if you feel better and you're more closely connected to it, then the money you make actually starts to multiply with that too. And so that would be like my next greatest tip going into customizing a hair care plan for your client. If I were to customize a hair care plan for my client, I'm really thinking about the needs of that person beyond what I'm doing in the chair. I'm not just thinking about how much money I'm making from that person. I'm thinking about how I can best serve that person. And that's psychologically is always going to be a much stronger, greater tool with aligning ourselves with that person. So that way we don't have to sell anything. We basically essentially are selling ourselves to the right person. And if you think about all the friendships and relationships in your life in general, it is always going to be an extension. Like when I talk about my daughter, a lot of times when I'm talking to my daughter about the things that she's interested in, let's say, so we have a next door neighbor, and I always ask my daughter, like, well, how come you don't hang out with our next door neighbor? I mean, you guys live right next to each other. And she's like, well, we just don't really share any of the same interests. And it's so funny because I'm asking that question and I already know the answer, right? But it's like, I'm just curious what her perspective is because she's a teenager. And if I think back about myself as a teenager, I just was so hungry to hang out with anybody who really cared to hang out with me. I didn't think about like, well, who is my person? So I was really proud of her to actually acknowledge the fact that like if she doesn't have something in common with that person and she doesn't have an interest level that might be the same as that person, then it's a forced friendship. It's a forced relationship and it's not an organic approach. Um, could she learn other things? Sure. Could she find something in common with that person? Absolutely. And I guess that's my point is like, we need to remind ourselves that we don't have to have everything in common with the person sitting in our chair. We just have to find one common thread. What's one thing that we can understand about that person? And what is something that we can provide to them that's going to help benefit what they're looking for? So, customizing your hair care plan, I'm going to give you guys an example. It could be something like creating a personalized hair care plan for each client, and you want to detail the recommendations of either a product or service that you would offer, or even a tip based on their hair type or even their lifestyle, and then present it in like a pamphlet or something like that, something tangible that they could take home, or it could be a PDF link. And something you could say with that is, I've put together a customized hair care plan for you, and this is to help you maintain your gorgeous new color. Or maybe it's extensions that you just put in and you want to give them like some tips on how to take care of their brand new extensions. And then follow these steps and then use a recommended product for those best results. That's also, by the way, where you can add in the affiliate links if you have an affiliate link that's associated so that the client can purchase that thing that would help them. So that's also a way of making money. But really, the overarching message is that you're adding value, value, value. So please keep that in mind. And I think it's that moving into it, that is such a great way to serve the best clients that you are aligning with naturally and organically. And everything through organic process is always going to feel better and it's going to be easier for us than trying to force feed people who are not really ready for what you have to provide for them.
So good. So good. And way to go, Nora, on her friendships. I love it.
I
Um,
know.
so I'm going to get really, really practical. But before I do that, you mentioned, doing this client event, and one event that was kind of like the best ongoing event that I have ever done independently and as a salon owner has been to, like, clients really struggle with how to do their own hair sometimes. And I think if you teach them a couple ways to do their own hair, like, that's it. Like, because we can make it look beautiful in the salon, like, hands down. I know that we've all been told, like, I wish you could come over and do my hair every morning for me. Like, how
Yeah.
many times? If I had a nickel, no. Not
Nickel.
no, not in these like inflation times. If I had $100 bill for every time somebody told me no.
That'd be amazing.
Um, yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
like, I'm for hire. I could do that in the morning. But the best event that we ever had, which builds client relationships in the way that you're giving them tools that they need and you're interacting with them. So that's really cool. And we did sell a ticket for them. And then our newer stylist, sometimes if that person would bring a friend, like, they'd have like half price off their tickets. You can do this however you want to, but the premises for it was bring a basket or a bag with your tools and your products that you style your hair with, and bring them in. And then we're going to use maybe some of your tools to style your hair and products. And the ones that like, oh man, this is like, look, like, this is chipped off. It's not actually ceramic plated. You're burning your hair. Like, we need to get you a flat iron, whatever that is. There might be opportunity to sell them exactly what they need to be successful at home. And we would focus on like a blowout, like a low bun, and flat iron curls. Like, there'd be like three things that we're focusing on for that evening. And there'd be little snack bites, and there'd be, some champagne or wine or whatever during that time. But they'd be learning how to style their hair with their tools and their products. And it was just kind of fun. And we could, like, oh my gosh, like, look at this brush, or look, it was
Yeah.
just like, we could laugh together about certain things and get them more dialed in. And that was a really, really fun event. So feel free to like steal that and add it into Ambrosia's idea. And the things we're sharing with you guys today, even though there's like seven, it's still kind of a lot of information. So what I would say is consistency with your personality and your, like, your story, your brand. That's all the same thing. Just pick maybe like two things that you want to use that you can do consistently. So my next one, I feel like, is an easy one, but I don't think it always gets executed. So for me, I never double book a client for a first time appointment ever.
Mm.
And I do make mention of that. Like, I do make sure I'm like, absolutely. And I'm gonna, and I have a lot of interaction with clients if they are a first time client before the appointment even happens. So there has been clear, intentional communication, even if it's just through text, so that if they needed, a price quote, that was done. They already know my policy. They already know I'm excited to see them. I already know how they were referred to me or how they found me. Like, that has already happened so that I'm set up for success. But I let them know I do usually work double booked for first time appointments. This is all about you. I want the opportunity to not only 100% give like all of my time and attention to you and your hair and your vision, but I want the opportunity to get to know you during this time. And I
Nice.
let them know that. So one, they feel special. Two, they know that's not going to be the norm forever. That
Exactly.
yeah. So that's one thing that I think does make a difference, and it gives you the opportunity to lay a really great solid foundation for a first time client, which then leads to client retention, which I think is going to be in our follow-up episode to this one. And then the next thing is just a little bit goes a long way. Send a follow-up text. Set yourself a reminder that, like, 2 days, 1 week, over the weekend, whatever, you send a follow-up text. How are you doing? How's your hair working for you? Is like everything still great? Is there anything we need to troubleshoot? And you just make it really simple and casual. And usually there's nothing, but they super appreciate that. And they know you haven't just been like, bye, hope that was great for you. Like, you're definitely following up. So set yourself up for success before with your intentional communication before a first time client. make it all about them. Don't double book a first time appointment, and then follow up after every first time appointment as well, even if it's just through a text message. So I'm going to pass that back
Beautiful.
over to you. Thank you.
Yes. And of course, I know right now we're just really talking specifically about building those relationships, and it always starts with that as a foundation. And then in our next episode, Drea was actually mentioning this. Just stay tuned for that. And a week from now, we're actually going to be going over client retention techniques. And so this is more about like building that client relationship initially and getting to know one another. Like we're talking about your first, second, maybe even your third date. And then after that, the retention process is like, how can you best serve that person so that way you know what their long term goals are and how you can be the best fit for those long term goals. And there are certain things to be looking for in yourself, even, I would say, when you're going into that retention portion, because you're thinking about your long term goals as a service provider and as a business as well. So it's like really narrowing down, like we're talking about like top of funnel, and then going more narrow into the rest of that funnel. So we'll be doing that on our next episode. So just make sure that you are subscribing for that so you can get a notification when we actually do have that episode. But I just have a couple more points I wanted to add in for today to talk about those business building tools. And that would be how you show up on social media. So if you're going to be engaging and interacting with your clients, an example of this would be engaging in a way that you can either host like a live Q&A or offer some tutorials or even like doing a styling challenge. And then engage with your clients on social media. So, like actually mentioning or tagging them, making them feel special. Like, think about how you feel when someone reposts some of your things or when somebody acknowledges you on social media. It feels good. And so, you want to make sure that you're doing that with your clients as well. I cannot tell you how many times I see hairstylists, specifically hairstylists, who are following other hairstylists and they're only interacting with hairstylists. I think it's okay to do that, but I really want you to focus only 20% of your time doing that and the remainder of your 80 really interacting with your ideal client or your current clients in your area. Think about being that big fish in your small pond. So an example of this would be we're going live this Friday at 5 p.m. for a Q&A on summer hair care tips. Join us and get your questions answered live. Can't wait to see you there. You can even like personalize that message and insert your client's name in there, and you can send like a quick little DM to them, letting them know, like personally inviting them too, if you had time to put that together. But otherwise, like I want to kind of use this boutique as an example that is just down the road for me. They have these live events all the time and they end up selling their products through those lives. And I find it really intriguing and it's just fun to watch because they have models come out with these like different combinations of outfits on. And then they just talk about like this right now, we have a special that we're running, da da da. Like you can shop through this link and like they go like the next step with it. But it's really cool because they have done it consistently every single Friday. And people know that now. And so they go on there specifically to see what the new things are. And they are now like fans of like doing online shopping directly through their links. And I just was like, wow, they have committed themselves and they are doing it on such a regular basis now. I would imagine that it's been very successful for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have continued to keep doing it. But they've been doing it since COVID, and it's been remarkable to watch how they've grown. So there's an idea for you. I have one more, but I want to give it back to you, Drea, to hear what you have remaining.
Perfect. I'm just going to tag on to yours because I kind of had social media on there a little bit too, and then I'll just kind of give my last point and let you wrap us up. But social media, I think invite your clients to be on social media for sure. I mean, I think we're all pretty good about that, but remembering to invite them or even having something on your station that lets them know like what social media you're on and how they can follow you, I think is helpful. Not all of our clients are as acclimated to social media as we all are. So I think that just kind of, putting that in focus is great. And then they really get to see you and hear from you even when they're not in your chair. And I think building relationships, like doing that on social and them getting to see parts of your personality that they might not get to see, especially if they're just a haircut client, they're there for a shorter amount of time with you. And just you touched on this, Ambrosia, and I think it's really important to determine what your page is for, as far as like if you are on social media specifically because you're trying to build and retain a clientele, which is what we're talking about today and in our follow-up episode after this, is just to not be entertaining each other as hairdressers and to make sure that we're bringing positive light to our clients and appreciation to our clients and that we're focused on things that are going to be beneficial to them,
Yeah.
and not just interacting as hairstylists. And are you following your client back? Are you being encouraging when they have stuff about their kids, that they're posting? And those are just little things that I think really help to build relationships with our clients. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And my last one is kind of a cheater one, but we see a lot of people, and I guess I'm like kind of like not 100% honest with this because I think it is really important if you can't remember to make notes on your client's profile of the appointment before of any really specific things that you talked about. We share really special time with our clients, and when they end up trusting us, they share things with us, hard things. Like there are tears in our chair, there are laughter, there is wedding planning, there is the shaving of a head for the first time during chemo. Like there's a lot of things that we have the honor to participate in our client's life and in time with them. So um, if you can't remember all of these things, make a note so that when they come back for their next appointment, you can say, hey, how's this going? Or I know your mom was in the hospital last time and we talked about that. Like, is she doing better? Like, what's going on with that? Or did how did your son do in his swim tournament? Like, these are the things that are the most important things to us as human beings. And I think as hairstylists, we can't expect ourselves to remember them all the time. And as much as I joke and say it's like a cheat, it's still not. It's still like taking the time to set important things aside. But just make sure before your client comes in that you look at their profile that you took notes on, and then you have those interactions with them. I promise you, this is the one thing that if you do this, will really bring like closeness and make your clients feel really, really special. And sometimes they'll say, wow, you have so many clients, you have such a good memory. And I was like, oh, like I don't necessarily tell them like that secret, but it means a lot to them. So that's kind of a really practical one that makes a huge, huge difference. Like little move, like big impact.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think actually that's a perfect way to sum it up. Little move, big impact. I mean, we want to know what's the quickest way to make someone feel comfortable in our chair, obviously. What is something that we have in common that we can both share like stories together and it feels like an organic conversation and process? And then what is the most effective way to serve that client and make them feel important and valued so that they actually want to come back to see us again, right? It's like at the end game, that's really what we're really wanting because then that's fulfilling. It feeds back into the business. It feeds back into us feeling accomplished and us just being excited about our work and doing it on people that really do appreciate it so that we don't have people in our chair that aren't fully aligned with the things that we're offering or what we really enjoy doing. So my last point I would say is going to be all about the referral or the rewards program that you might offer in your salon. We've talked about this before briefly, but the reason why we emphasize this so much is because I've actually done a little bit of research on the stats here because I'm such a stat lady. I don't know what it is about stats. I just maybe it's just because it's an undeniable thing. And if somebody's going to go through the homework of figuring this out, it really helps us support why we do things. So I'm a big proponent of the why. And when I heard or when I read this stat, I was like, okay, this is the reason why we keep bringing this up. So, word of mouth can increase our new client acquisition by 50%. So, offering a referral program where clients are getting rewards for bringing in new clients is a really amazing way to not just promote ourselves, but also to fit the right people. So, a way of getting this referral program going is if you're offering a discount to someone who is referring someone and offering an equal discount to that person as well. An example of this, I just wrote out like quick verbiage would be, hi, Jess, I thought you might be interested in our referral program. If you refer a friend, you'll receive 20% off your next service, or maybe you say 10. Plus, your friend will get 10% discount on their first visit. And it's our way of saying thank you. So, this is a nice way of extending an invite and letting them know that you're offering that referral program. You're giving them kind of a kickback. So you're offering incentive for them to actually want to execute. And by you mentioning it, it's a really organic, easy, great way for them to be like, oh, that's right. I remember my friend so and so is looking for a new hairstylist. Maybe I should send this to her and let her know that you're offering a referral program and she gets to see you. I really enjoyed seeing you, but also she could get that 10% off. Awesome. So that's a really nice way just to build up that clientele and to build up those relationships as well, because usually like attract likes. And if you like somebody, then the person that they're referring, you're more than likely going to really get along with them too. And that is just a tried and true thing. I mean, you can't mess with that. 50% acquisition, that is really, really good as far as getting the right kind of clientele. Whereas if we're spending our time on social media, most of the time, I think in our industry, we hear a lot that that's where you should be spending your time. That's where you should be spending your time. But this shows proof that a referral program is going to give you a higher return on getting the right clients in your chair, 50% over you just getting your clients all through social media. So, really spending your time dividing amongst those things and doing what feels right and aligned with you as a person as well. I mean, I talked to 20-year-old hairstylists who are like, I don't like being on social media. As a matter of fact, I like deleted my TikTok and that I just don't really want to get clients through it. So, I think it's really important that we also think of our clients that way, that not all of our clients are going to be liking social media for that form of resource. Maybe they're not even finding us through there. And maybe they're just not very active. Like they just go on Instagram once a week or something, and they're just like kind of cruising through and they're not necessarily shopping or looking for their next provider. So it's really important that we are making our efforts a little bit broader rather than just putting all of our eggs in the social media basket, so to speak.
You said that, and I just love that, Ambrosia, because actually, another thing is in my experience, the clients you get from social media, and you guys, please, like write your experience in the chat. Like, do you agree with this? Do you not agree with this? Like, it's
And by the
because,
chat, you mean by the chat, you mean by the writing a review or something like letting us
yeah,
know.
like your
Yeah.
comment, yes, please. I'm always like, whatever it is on this,
Yeah.
formats. Thank you for that. I need all the help I can get. But I have found that the clients I get on social media are flakier, are higher maintenance. Um, and the ones that I get through referral programs are just very, very down to earth. They're very similar to obviously the client that's already referring them. If you love that client, you're probably going to love the clients that they refer to you. So that's just another thing. Like in me building my clientele, it's like you only have so much energy, and the things that I was willing to take on 10 years ago, I'm not willing to take on now.
Yeah.
So, and if you
Mhm.
want to set yourself up for not being sick at night before you have to go into work and having fun, peaceful interactions, like that has just been my experience, social media versus an actual referral program in the salon. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I know. And I think it's not to be discounted to do one like just to put all of your time and effort into one strategy perhaps. Like I can see social media, like to me personally, social media has provided amazing opportunities as far as brand partnerships, the opportunity to educate outside of my salon, to connect with other people that are also in the industry because I was ready for that next phase of life, to get the right type of stylist in my salon. So it's a really great introduction. And I think the way you show up on social media also should just it should emulate what you do in the salon specifically and what you do as a provider. But I just think it's so important to know that just because social media is being emphasized so much as far as building up your business, it sometimes is not going to be the most effective way for you to build up your business. And referral systems should never be forgotten. And so I really hope that these tips shed a little bit of light and just helped you with building up your tools, your resources, where you want to divide your time, because time is the most valuable commodity. And I feel like we put way too much emphasis on money over time. And so that's why Dre and I are so passionate about even speaking about this. We're spending our valuable time talking about it because we know that these are going to be the greatest links and allies to your business. So again, we want to invite you to join the waitlist to our membership. We'll be talking more in detail and in depth about each one of these things and more. And then, of course, join us next week. We'll be talking about retention strategies and just things that you can do in order to kind of beef up your business once you've actually gotten the people that align with you the best. And I want to encourage you to dream big, set goals, and take some action. And we will see you guys next week.